other concern I have in the cybersphere is the threat presented by these DJI drones. I've seen report after report from the Department of Homeland Security about the capabilities of these drones to be able to collect intelligence, to transmit intelligence, and ultimately to impair our cyber defense infrastructure. How do you think we ought to think about these DJI drones?
I'll step in there, and I'll tell you, I was sorely disappointed that the American Security Drones Act dropped out of the last National Defense Authorization Act. It makes no sense that the Department of Defense recognized that these drones are unacceptable in our system and removed them and replaced them at some cost. Yet other federal agencies, intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies are not being compelled to follow suit. We know that these systems can communicate back to the servers of their host company in China, and we know that those companies can be compelled by the Chinese intelligence agencies to provide information. If you'd asked me as the J3 at PACOM, what would be my dream scenario when I woke up in the morning, it would be that U.S. drones were flying up and down all Chinese critical infrastructure every night and sending photos and information back to my team so that I could easily target. Well, U.S. critical infrastructure companies are buying DJI and other Chinese drones at about 80% of market share, and they're flying up and down our pipelines, our electrical power grids, our water systems, and they have the opportunity to transmit that information, and the Chinese have the intelligence has the opportunity to request it.
And oftentimes are these DJI drones not provided to our local and state law enforcement agencies at incredibly low cost?
They are, and both Florida, as I'm sure you've experienced, in Texas, we've seen that, and in Norfolk and San Diego. And I can't imagine what a Chinese drone would detect flying in the San Diego and Norfolk areas, on a daily basis, while doing legitimate law enforcement work, but also grabbing a good picture of everyone who's at every pier.
Yeah, it is deeply frustrating to think that our own law enforcement agencies are almost being utilized, essentially being utilized by the Chinese Communist Party to engage in this activity. So, Mr. Chairman, I know you've got a lot of hats you wear on this subcommittee and also working to chair the Select Committee on China, and I would suggest that the National Defense Authorization Act would be a wonderful place to nestle some drone doctrine for defense against this Chinese capability. Appreciate the testimony. And I'm still waiting to see who in Washington is defending these drones. I don't know why that legislation dropped out of the NDAA. Maybe they'll perk up at some time.
Well, they had a pretty robust lobbying effort that used law enforcement officials, if memory serves, to go into members' office and say,
now we know better.